Horse feeds and supplements developed by Kentucky Equine Research are research tested and race proven. For over 30 years, top trainers and veterinarians have relied on science, technology, and products from Kentucky Equine Research to fuel top performance from the breeding shed to the sales ring and the track. Look for KER products and learn more at KER.com. Kentucky Equine Research, world leaders in equine nutrition.
Hi everybody and welcome to Out of the Gate, Daily Racing Forum's weekend handicapping preview program. I'm your host Dan Illman. Thanks so much for watching. Here's what's coming up in this week's edition of Out of the Gate. It's a weekend stakes preview edition of Out of the Gate. Daily Racing Forum handicapper Mike Beer and I will take a look at the Saturday DRF race of the day, the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby featuring Hot Rod Charlie. We'll also look at the Grade 1 Cotillion on a star-studded Saturday card at Parks. The Kelso handicap is our third stakes preview featuring Breeders' Cup contender Life is Good. Nicole Russo's also here. She has her pedigree pick segment presented by Kentucky Equine Research. We're all in line. Let's break Out of the Gate. Hi everybody, Dan Ullman, Mike Beer. The DRF race of the day for Saturday, September the 25th is a good one and perhaps a very important prep for the Breeders' Cup Classic. Here's the field for the Grade 1 Pennsylvania Derby. $1 million is the purse. We are going 1 1/8 miles, and as you can see, the 9 Medina Spirit, who finished first in the Kentucky Derby this year, mired in controversy since then. He has already been withdrawn by trainer Bob Baffert. You can download free Formulator Pass performances for the Pennsylvania Derby on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them and handicap along with us. Mike, let's quickly throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector. With Medina Spirit out, visit timeformus.com when scratches are made official on Saturday. This Pace Projector will automatically update, and it will have Midnight Bourbon on the lead. Although Hot Rod Charlie is by no means a slow horse, I think Midnight Bourbon's got to go. His best running races have been when he makes the lead.
Yeah, I'm assuming he'll go to the front. He was probably going to try to go to the front, whether Medina Spirit was in here or not. But he should certainly make the lead now. The question is, at least in my opinion, even if he does make the lead, do you really care? I mean, he got loose on the lead in the Travers last time. I realized it came back a fast race against Essential Quality. But Dan, I'm very, very skeptical of this horse, and I really don't want any part of him in this race.
Now, a horse that's really going to be hoping for that red bar fast-paced scenario to come true is one of the 3 deep closers that Timeform US has designated for this race. The one Folsom, who has won 4 of his last 5 starts, including the local prep. He has a race over the track. This is the Grade 3 Smarty Jones Stakes, and he was 3-5 for a reason. He laid over the field, and as we turn into the stretch, we see Folsom swinging to the outside. He was very wide and stayed in the clear, and he's just too much for this field. The buyer only came back in 84.
Yeah, I mean, he just does what he has to do here. As you say, laid over this field on paper. He wins it clear at the end. He doesn't bury this field, Dan, but he's clear under the wire. It's a nice win for him. It doesn't come back fast. Luckily for him, if you like him, he does have a faster race than this, a much faster race than this 3 starts back in Kentucky.
A true closer is the 2, Keep Me in Mind. He likes to run from well off of the pace. He's only won once. That was a graded stakes race as a 2-year-old, but it appears that ever since the blinkers have come on 3 starts back, he has found his best form. Now, he might have had his best chance at winning a race like this 2-back in the Jim Dandy, where he just got a great ground-saving trip while the winner Essential Quality went into the parking lot, and he still lost in a good effort. He's the kind of horse that needs a lot of help up front.
Exactly. And listen, he might very well have won that Jim Dandy if he was racing anybody else but Essential Quality. But Essential Quality just would not let him get by in the stretch. He ran fine there with a great trip. And I like the fact that he stayed a little closer that day, too, because, his big problem so far has been he has no speed. And he always has to try to pass the entire field. He did stay closer in the Jim Dandy. He was not, that far away in the Travers last time, although that was another slow-paced race. I don't know. He just feels like he's really improved in his most recent start there. And I think he's a major player in this race.
Talk about a wild card. The number 3 Speaker's Corner will only be making his 4th lifetime start. It's only his 2nd race of the year, and it's his first race around 2 turns. You would think just off of that, it's way too much too soon against some of the best 3-year-olds in the country. But it is Bill Mott, a very conservative trainer, throwing this horse into the deep end of the pool, and he might have been very impressed off this big fig win on August the 14th sprinting. This is Speaker's Corner's first race off of an extremely long layoff. I thought he sat a nice trip, staying close to a moderate pace. He split horses on the turn, and he really gets away from them the last 16th of a mile. The fig came back. He is certainly bred to get a distance of ground. He's by Derby winner Street Sense. I believe his second dam won the Breeders' Cup Distaff. Just a fascinating spot, I will admit. Both of his wins have come with good setups.
I mean, they have, but I think it's pretty clear that this horse has a lot of talent. You could tell last year that he was a talented horse, even though he only ran twice. A super strong field he beat breaking his maiden at Belmont Park in his second start. And then he came back off the long layoff last time. Obviously things didn't go or couldn't have gone that well for him early this year. It was a very late start for him. He looked really good winning that race last time, Dan. We'll see what happens as they step him way up in class. He is bred to stretch out. He clearly has a lot of talent. I want to see what kind of price he is too. The 12-1 line looks pretty good. I wonder if you have any chance of getting that.
Weyburn, the number 4, is a graded stakes winner this year. He won the Gotham. Both of his wins have come around 1 turn. He's done good work around 2, and I think he has enough tactical speed where he can tuck in behind the leaders. He likes to race close. The question is, when those classy horses start to kick away, will Weyburn be able to stay with them? He's run some good races. He has to prove he can do it against the best of the best.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I like him as a horse. I don't know if I like him in races like this necessarily. He does have that big, Gotham win earlier this year where he pulled off the big upset. But boy, you start looking at the horses that he beat that day and you start to wonder how good that race actually was. And this horse has come back and run fine several times, but he was no match in the Jim Dandy without an excuse. Last time, even as Pegasus, we've talked about that race before. I personally don't think it was as close with Mandaloun as the final margin suggests. I mean, to me, when you watch that race, Mandaloun was hanging a little bit in there. Otherwise, this horse wasn't going to be as close as he was at the finish.
The number 5, I Am Redeemed, Pennsylvania bred, has done little wrong in his career. He's 3 for 4. The only loss, however, came the only time he faced open company. He did succeed around 2 turns last time out over a sloppy track. The figure was much improved, and he does appear to have some tactical speed, but it's a big class hike.
It is. He's got some talent. There's no doubt about that. We'll see what he can do against this field because, unfortunately for him, this is a Pennsylvania Derby. They came up, pretty solid. There's some good horses in here.
Is Bourbonic the best pure closer in this race? He took advantage of a contested pace to win the Wood Memorial at a gigantic price. And let's be honest, he was placed in some very tough spots. The Derby and the Belmont after that. They ran him in the West Virginia Derby last time out. He fell far behind is what he's going to do. And he came for an even finish to be 3rd. I was a little disappointed in that performance. I was a little surprised he didn't take more money than he did. But he's a horse that I guess always has a puncher's chance from the back.
I mean, I guess he's just going to sit out and hope for a, big pace in front of him. I guess, Medina Spirit not showing up probably hurts him more than it hurts anybody else. And I personally, Dan, I don't think he's the best closer in the race. I think Keep Me in Mind's the best closer in the race. We'll see. This horse is going to be a great price. If you like him, I'm not going to try to talk you off him, but I'm not a fan.
Bourbonic's one of the top 3-year-olds in the country. There's no doubt about that. 3rd in the Derby. What a wonderful 2nd in the Belmont. Basically a race-long battle, and he was punching on at the end of that race. And then in the Haskell, of course, there was all the controversy with Midnight Bourbon, of course, stumbling and falling. Hot Rod Charlie gamely held off Mandaloun in the wire, but was disqualified. This is a horse who is the one to beat, and his tactical speed puts him in the mix when the real racing begins.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he becomes the favorite now with Medina Spirit not showing up, although I suppose Midnight Bourbon could also take a lot of money in here. We'll see what happens. I just think this horse is good, Dan. He's going to get a good trip in this race. I thought his Derby was a nice performance. You mentioned how good his Belmont was. I agree with all of that stuff. And his Haskell, I just feel like he ran really well in the Haskell last time. It's unfortunate for him that he was disqualified. It was probably the right call. But he ran another good race. I just think this horse is really good. And I actually think he's pretty close to essential quality at the top of this division right now.
Midnight Bourbon, the number 8, is a horse that I think deserves a lot of credit for his toughness. He's run 11 times this year. His really only bad race this year came in the Derby, and that was a race. How bad was it? He had a lot of trouble in that race. You could easily draw a line through it. I thought he ran well in the Preakness. It was not a strong edition of the Preakness, but he and Medina Spirit were close to a fast pace, and he got the better of that horse. He fell down in the Haskell, and everyone was thinking the worst. And guess what? He bounced back, and he ran this race in the Travers against 2-year-old champion Essential Quality, the leader of the division, the Belmont Stakes winner. He got a great ride from Ricardo Santana, who got him loose on the backstretch through a moderate pace. Essential Quality hooks him, and Essential Quality gets him. But Midnight Bourbon tried in the stretch here.
He did. He tried very hard in here. He was never going to win. And there, to me, there was no point in the stretch it ever looked like he was going to win. But he was very game here to be second best when all was said and done. Listen, he's obviously good, and I don't want to, sit here and knock him too hard. I personally, am not a fan of this horse. I don't like him in here either. Even if he does make it to an early lead like he did last time, his last 3 starts, I guess, are the ones that you would want to talk about to think he has some kind of chance to win here. I thought his Preakness was a, pretty mediocre performance overall, Dan. I know that pace was solid, but that was not a good field. He gets run over by Rombauer in the stretch. I don't know. I thought if he was going to win a big one, he was going to win that one because Medina Spirit did nothing in there. He wasn't winning the Haskell. I know that he got in trouble in the stretch, but he was a beaten horse when he clipped heels in there. He wasn't winning that race. And, listen, I know Essential Quality is really good. This horse was absolutely loose in the Travers last time. So I'm going to take that 107 with a grain of salt. He's going to be a short price in here, and I don't want a nickel on him.
Medina Spirit will scratch. He will point for the awesome again against older horses at Santa Anita. So we'll move to the 10 for Todd Pletcher, American Revolution. This is a New York bred that has been so impressive in his last few races, especially the 2-turn races. Let's watch his Albany at the mile and 1/8. He was just dominant in this race. He's saved ground on the backstretch. He got outside the Bob Baffert train runner, Bobby Bow, and he just grinds them down. And it just seems the more distance, the better for this son of Constitution. The Fig came back a respectable 98, Mike. I think this horse certainly has at least an outside chance at a very good price because he looks like he's coming into his own.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I feel like the favorites are pretty strong in here, but if you wanted to take a shot against them, I think the big price is this is the one that you want to take a shot against him with. Who knows how good he turns out to be. He wasn't beating anything in that replay that we just watched, but you could see how far back everybody else was in the stretch there. I mean, he fairly buried that field, and it came back pretty fast.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Pennsylvania Derby. Hot Rod Charlie is the horse to beat. I want to try to find a price to beat him. I agree with a lot of the things Mike said about Midnight Bourbon. I think we only disagree about the Preakness. I thought he ran better than Mike did, but I agree in the Haskell. He would have been third, beaten about 5 lengths if he stayed on his feet. And in the Travers, Essential Quality was just better than he is. Hot Rod Charlie off a little bit of a 2-month layoff. If this pace is fast, maybe he will be susceptible to a closer. I'm just curious to see what we get from Speaker's Corner. They're throwing a lot at him.
I agree. I almost put him on top too. I put him second to Hot Rod Charlie. I just feel like Hot Rod Charlie's, and maybe he's just in the right spot here, Dan. He should get a good trip. I think he's a good horse. I'm going to stick with him on top in here, and I'll use Speaker's Corner as well. Again, I just want to see what kind of price he is.
I think that's an excellent point because something tells me he might be kind of the buzz wise guy horse. And if he's half his 12-1 morning line, he probably isn't worth it considering all of the question marks surrounding him. But I do think he's good, and I want to give him a shot. 3-8-10-6 for me, 7-3-2-8 for Mike. It's the Pennsylvania Derby. It is a good one on Saturday. Good luck.
Hey everyone, Nicole Russo coming to you for this week's pedigree analysis presented by our friends at Kentucky Equine Research. This Saturday's card at Arlington Park, expected to be the last at the Chicago area track, which you know if you've been following along with the reporting from our Marcus Hirsch, who has a report on this weekend at DRF.com. In recognition of the track, I want to do some analysis of the last race on that Saturday program. We'll have fillies and mares sprinting on the turf under allowance optional conditions. And we have 3 in that field trying turf for the first time, which you know presents some opportunity for pedigree analysis. I'll take these 3 in post position order for our notes. Fox Frey's most recent win came in an off-the-turf claimer on Arlington's synthetic main track in July, so the turf intent was certainly there. However, she's dialed in a dirt runner who has sired mainly dirt runners. Her dam Rio Rita did win twice on the all-weather at Arlington. She's out of an alleged mare and is a half to the Turf Stakes winner Saturday Delights. Next to Fox Frey, who's breaking from the rail, we have Cowgirl Kimmy. She's a stakes winner on the dirt and is full to another dirt stakes winner. 2 starts back, she did finish an even 4th in a state-bred stakes on Arlington's synthetic. Certainly faces lesser competition here. Her sire, Cowboy Cal by Giants Causeway, was a versatile runner who was a multiple graded winner and multiple grade 1 placed on the turf. Now, finally, we have Golden Command toward the outside, perhaps the best pedigree to move dirt to turf, but facing a big task as she's coming off a long layoff. Another one by more of a dirt sire in Strong Mandate, but her dam won on the turf and has produced 2 turf winners. Her second dam is an Argentinian champion who produced stakes horses on both the dirt and turf. So there are some notes if you're looking at what is expected to be the final race in Arlington's storied history. Enjoy it and enjoy all of Saturday's action around the country here with DRF.
Huge card Saturday, obviously, at Parks, the Pennsylvania Derby, the main event, the co-feature, the Grade 1 Cotillion. Here's the field for 3-year-old fillies. This race carded as the 11th. $1 million is the purse. 1 mile and 1/16 is the distance. The 7 private mission has already been scratched. We throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector. This will change once scratches are made official. So log into timeformus.com, get the updated Pace Projector. Private mission out. Always Karina, stretching out off a 4th in the test, might be able to make the lead, and she's been okay when she's made the lead in her career.
Yeah, we'll see if getting to the front against this field leads to a turnaround in form for her. It's certainly possible, I guess. Dan, I don't know. I thought this was a really good race. I thought it was a really well-matched field. Even though you have Clariere in there as a 2-to-1 favorite, I don't think she exactly, stands out versus this field.
Obligatory, won the 8 bells at 7 furlongs, 3 starts back, and it looked like maybe they'd found her niche as a closing 1-turn 7 furlong miler type. And I think that sort of opinion was reinforced with her good second in the Acorn coming from off the pace. Last time out in the test going 7 furlongs, Mike, was she just compromised by the race flow? It just seemed like that pace held up.
Yeah, she was bad. I thought she was badly compromised last time and didn't run nearly as poorly as it may look on paper. They took her, what they always do, Dan. They took her back to last and they're over to the inside. And she tried to rally through the stretch, but the test wasn't that kind of race. They just weren't coming back for her. I actually felt like she ran okay last time. The question with her is she a 2-turn horse or not? I know she's a Curlin. Earlier this year in the Fairgrounds Oaks, she was decidedly not a 2-turn horse. That was not a very good performance in the Fairgrounds Oaks, but that was 6 months ago, Dan. She's a much better filly now.
All Worthy is the number 2. This is a daughter of Belmont Stakes winner Tonalist, coming off a 3rd place effort in a 2-turn sprint. Let's watch the Charlestown Oaks on August the 27th. Allworthy fell very far behind, and you're going to see in the last 300 yards or so, she really kicks it in once she changes leads, and she gets up to be 3rd. I'm really not too concerned about the additional distance. It's all a question of whether she's good enough. She's now raced against graded competition twice, and I'm just not sure she's up to this level at this point.
Yeah, she might not be. I don't think this is the worst race in the world, though, to try to make cases for horses like Allworthy, because she might be a little bit underrated. And obviously, she has to improve. We can point out that in that Charlestown Oaks, that night at Charlestown, boy, did it feel like speed in the inside was really dominating all the races. She never got near the inside. She actually might have run a lot better than it looks last time.
I'm a big fan of Will's Secret, but I wonder if I've started to see enough. I liked her effort in the Kentucky Oaks. She was no match for Malathot in search results, two of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country. She got a pretty good trip. She ran her best, and then she just didn't fire in the Indiana Oaks. And last time out in the Alabama, going 1.25 miles, she got up close to the pace and she couldn't finish. Again, I thought she ran well, maybe the best she can do at that distance. She does have some back figures that indicate she can be somewhat competitive at a price. She has some tactical speed.
Yeah, I think she's interested in here. I think she can get a good trip in this race. After she won those 3 races in a row earlier this year, Dan, she won 4 times, 3 times against Malathot. The last one in the Alabama, which I just think is too far for her. You know, she has the one poor race off that short layoff in the Indiana Oaks. If you can get past that one, and I don't think it's that hard to get past it, I think she's a player in here.
Which Maracuja will show up? The number 4 goes out for Rob Atras. She upset Malathot in the Coaching Club American Oaks. She received just a brilliant ride from Ricardo Santana that day. And in the Alabama, she didn't break very well, but she also didn't run very well.
Yeah, she didn't. I agree with you. Boy, she was down inside the entire way, though. She took a ton of dirt in that race. So maybe she just didn't, like that all that much. But it still was a poor performance. The flip side of that equation, Dan, is, last time in the Alabama, she was exactly the kind of horse you weren't supposed to like off of the Coaching Club American Oaks, where she was the longest shot on the board. Everything went right for her. She got a great trip and ride, and she pulled off the upset in there. Now she's got the Alabama out of the way. She cuts back a little bit. She's going to be a better price this time. I think there are ways to look at her and feel like maybe she's the horse you're supposed to go back to this time.
Army Wife entered the Alabama off 2 consecutive graded stakes victories. She faced off with Clariere. Let's watch the stretch drive of the Alabama. Army Wife got a good trip up close to the pace. She made a 3-wide bid. She made a brief lead in the stretch. You see Army Wife in the green cap. On the outside is Clariere, altered course far wide, and she's going to come with a good run. They both ran very well against Malathot. Army Wife's tactical speed's always kind of going to give her a little bit of a jump on a horse like Clariere.
It is, and I think it could be key to this race, Dan, because it feels like Army Wife could get a really good trip in this race. I thought her Alabama was fine. Maybe just another horse who doesn't, quite want to go 10 furlongs, so cutting back helps her. I could go either way on this horse. I want to see what kind of price she is. I know that she won graded stakes 2 and 3 starts back, but I just didn't care much for either of those races. And I don't think I wouldn't play her in here off of either the Black Eyed Susan or the Iowa Oaks if she was going to be around 7-2.
And as for Clariere, we've been asking all year long, what's Clariere's best distance? She's run well going 2 turns. We like her maybe a little bit shorter at 1 1/16, but in that 1.25 miles Alabama, she was charging hard at the end of that race to finish ahead of 3 of these common foes.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I haven't been a fan of hers going longer, but I have to admit, on the evidence of the Alabama, I'm certainly wrong about that because she was not tired at the end of that race for sure. I guess we'll see, Dan. I mean, I can look at each of her last 3 races and make, I think, legit excuses for all 3 of them and just feel like with a little bit more luck or a different trip, she could have won, maybe any one of those races. So to me, she is the horse to beat in here, and she's probably a legit favorite. I still don't know if I want 2-1 on her against this field.
7 private mission scratches. We move to the 8, Always Karina, who could assume the pace setter's role. This will be her first start around 2 turns. Now, 2 starts back, she ran in the Mother Goose. She was odds on that day, going 1 1/16, and I could not find the excuse for her. She set a rather mild pace. She did hold second off Clariere, but go watch the replay in your Formulator past performances. Clariere might have run the best race of them all.
Yeah, Clariere was best in the Mother Goose. She just happened not to win after trouble in the race. This horse, I thought, Always Karina, was terrible in that race. Got to the front. The pace wasn't fast. The horse that beat her, Zagel, was right up on the pace with her the entire way. She was the longest shot on the board in there. And Always Karina was no match in there. I mean, I thought that was a very poor performance. They tried to cut her back in the test. She was bad again with a good trip. So, I feel like the real question with her now is how good is she, Dan? Because it feels like she's been pretty well exposed in her first 2 starts against graded stakes horses. Maybe she makes the lead and wires this field, but I wouldn't bet the race that way.
And the horse with the home court advantage is the 9, leader of the band. This is a Pennsylvania bred, winner of the Monmouth Oaks, 2 starts back, although the runner-up that day seemed to have significant trouble. Let's watch the Catherine Sophia last time out. And She tried to rally from off the pace. We see her on the far outside, and this pace was really raided the middle part by Lovely Ride, who just wouldn't quit at a big price. Leader of the band might have been compromised by the ground loss and just simply by the way the race was run.
Yeah, and that's how I looked at the race, kind of. I mean, Lovely Ride, there's nothing wrong with her. She's a pretty nice horse. She also bumped leader of the band at the start of the race. Leader of the band wound up last, while that horse wound up on the lead. And as you say, we saw the stretch run there, Dan, and the winner looked like she was in deep water all through the stretch. So you could say, well, how did they not catch her? But she was absolutely loose early in there on a really slow pace. So I don't know. I feel like leader of the band probably ran better than it looks in there. I thought she ran better than it looks 2 starts back as well, and even 3 starts back in the Delaware Oaks. She was a distant third in there, but man, I did not necessarily care for the ride she got that day. Very conservative until they got to the stretch. I don't know. I feel like she's headed the right way, and it's going to be a big price in this race.
And she should be running at the end. Just give her a little bit of pace. She's really underrated. Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 1 Cotillion. I've got her in the mix. Mike's got her on top. She's 12-1 on the morning line before the scratch. I still think she goes off at a really playable price.
Yeah, I feel like she has to be a price in this race. And to me, Dan, at the end of the day, it was one of those races where I just wanted one of the outsiders. Maybe they just won't turn out to be good enough, but I don't know. I had a tough time separating the obligatories and, Will Secret's Maracujas. I feel like they all have a chance to win, but they're also all going to take money in here. I'm not going to bet Clariere as the favorite. I want one of the others.
I think Clariere is the horse to beat. I'd have to use her in any kind of multiple race wager. Army Wife, to me, while I agree with you, she was helped in the Black-Eyed Susan, I think, by a really strong rail bias that day, and she didn't beat anything in the Iowa Oaks. I just think she's coming into her own for Michael Maker. I thought the Alabama was a good effort, made the first run at Malathot, probably that distance a little bit too far for her. I wish she drifts from 7-2. 5-6-9-8 for me, 9-1-6-4 for Mike. It's the Grade 1 Cotillion on a huge Saturday afternoon of racing at Parks. Good luck. Race number 4 at Belmont Park on Saturday. We'll throw up the field for the Grade 2 Kelso Handicap 1-turn mile. It could be a prep for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Life is good as 1-9 on our colleague David Aragona's track morning line. And why not? He's run 4 times in his career. He's earned 3 triple-digit buyers. The rest of this field combined, 0 triple-digit buyers. And now Life is Good, you could argue, can improve in his second start off of a long layoff.
Yeah, all true. He's going to be a very short price. He's the only 3-year-old in the field, Dan. That seems like it matters not against these 4 horses.
Best horse might get the best trip as we throw up the time form US Pace Projector. Life is Good is very fast. We saw that in his last start, the Grade 1 Jerkins off the layoff, and I'm assuming he's just going to prance right to the lead under Arad Ortiz.
Yeah, you just got to let him come out of there running and go to the front. I mean, seriously, how well did he run in the Jerkins last time, considering that layoff and who he was running against? That, to me, that was a very big effort.
It was a huge effort, and all these other horses are not only going to have him nailed on tight, they're going to have to really improve if they're going to take him down. The number 1, Fort Peck, really improved last time out. First off, the Robertino Diodoro claim. Let's watch that race at Saratoga. You liked him that day, Mike. 50,000 claimer, 1 1/8. Where did this race come from? He dominates.
Yeah, he just got a perfect trip in here too, but he, just always kind of looked like he was going to win. Hung a little wide around the first turn, but he just sat right up close, took this race over very early at the end of the backstretch, and just, as you can see here, romps through the stretch. Very easy win. It wasn't a huge step for him. He had run some good races in the past, but he's also more of a claiming type of horse, Dan, and this is, as well as he ran last time, this is a huge step up in class.
Let's watch Life is Good's first start for Todd Pletcher in the H. Allen Jerkins. Surprised a lot of folks by getting to the lead on Jackie's Warrior, the best 3-year-old dirt sprinter in the country. Do you think Mike Smith was a little too confident, keeping him far off the rail? Jackie's Warrior slipped on through. It's going to be a tight finish. Both ran great.
Yeah, they both really ran well in here. Yeah, I don't know what the idea was, keeping this horse in the 2 or 3 path all the way around the track there. But either way, he's dead game down to the end here against a really nice horse. This is a very good performance for this horse who, I mean, I don't really feel like it would be, that big a reach to say, and, not knocking essential quality at all. There's not that big a reach to say this is the best 3-year-old in the country.
chance at the number 3. He's only been off the board once in his career, and that was in a 2-turn race, the Tampa Bay Derby. Let's watch his last effort, the 4 Go. It was a race where he broke well, but they conceded the lead to Yaupan and Firenze Fire, sat in behind, eases out here with a chance. He's going to finish okay to be 3rd. I wonder if they were a bit more aggressive, if he's just a little bit closer at the wire, not to say he would have won.
I wonder that too, though, because he is a horse who had shown plenty of speed earlier on in his career. And this was a race that was dominated, up towards the front by the 1-2 finishers. He just couldn't make up any ground on them through the stretch. He was pretty game to be 3rd. He's obviously a really nice horse, Dan. He's not in the league of a horse like Life is Good. He doesn't have that kind of talent, but he's nice and he's run some fast races.
Informative is a horse that occasionally runs big at gigantic prices. Look at his race 3 back, the Salvatore Mile, a 2-turn race where he scores at almost 80-1. He's basically a closing type that's going to hope somebody goes out and tries to burn up Life is Good. And if that's the case, maybe he gets a piece. He's also cross-entered at Parks.
I thought it was possible if they run him here that he could get a piece of this. His best chance would be if Life is Good goes to the lead and Chance It and Doubly Blessed, both get to chasing that horse and it burns them out. Informative could come and get a piece.
Michael Maker doing the rain dance with Doubly Blessed, 3 for 3 over a wet track, including a career best 97 Beyer, 2 starts back going a mile and a 16th last time out in the 4 Go. He chased that moderate pace wide, but he just didn't do much running when called upon.
Yeah, I guess he was just sort of exposed in that race. He was cutting back to sprint for the first time on dirt. He made a mild outside run around the turn. He never came close. He got very tired through the stretch. It feels like a race like this is just going to be too tough for him right now, but he's not bad. I just feel like he's probably not a graded stakes horse.
Top pick time for the grade 2 Kelso. Again, I don't want to advise anyone to go deep against Life is Good, if at all. But if he does stub his toe, Chance It is a useful horse that has won at a 1-turn mile. The problem is, I think David's right. He's probably going to be between 4 and 5-1 at post time, and that's just way too short. If he was 10-1, maybe I'd throw a few bucks on him.
He seems like the other horse to me. I'd only use him underneath. I'm not betting a nickel against Life is Good.
Let's see what Life is Good does, because it still could give Todd Pletcher options. The Classic isn't out of the question. The Dirt Mile is in play. He is a very talented horse, and he is the probable winner of this year's Grade 2 Kelso.